After the successful first season of the Celebrity Traitors, we now have the return of the regular or civilian season, or whatever you may call it. The one thing I was waiting to find out about the Traitors UK Season 4 was what was the mysterious red traitor we saw in the teasers all about? Was it a traitor unknown to the viewers, temporarily unknown to the other traitors, a traitor with extra power, or all of the above? Also, would the red traitor be the only twist we see this season? As we saw Claudia drive up to the castle, while briefly playing a couple of my favourite songs, we were about to embark on what I hope will be another successful season. 22 players were about to enter the castle with no temporary or permanent exits before the traitors were picked. Before we were introduced to them, Claudia addressed the elephant or the red cloak in the room.
I imagine you're wondering why this cloak is a different colour. Well, I can now reveal you have a special role. You are my secret traitor.
My exact words were, "Wait, what?" This was only because I slightly misheard and thought she was talking to the viewers. In that moment I did laugh at myself. There had been speculation that the UK might do something that's been used in one of the international editions, but unfortunately it's not one I've seen yet. Apparently this is a bit similar to something that Finland Season 4, which aired in 2025, did, but not completely the same. I can't speak on anything that the recent Finland season did and what differed, but we shall wait to see how successful this added element is. What we did find out was that none of the traitors or the viewers were gonna know which player was the traitor in the red cloak. This is where things might get a bit sticky, as if it lasts too long, this twist would be treading into the mole territory. A certain section of viewers outside the UK will be pleased with this added element. I personally hope it's not dragged out too long, as there's a reason why I've got tired of watching The Mole and the Dutch original Wie the Mole. This twist is also another way to continually show how terrible I am at making predictions or guessing things. I am still willing to play along, so I may say which player I think might be in the red traitor cloak. What was evident was that most of the 22 players wanted to be a traitor, so this wasn't necessarily going to be easy. This must be the most amount of players that wanted to be a traitor. There was going to be a lot of disappointed people. We saw Claudia pick Hugo, Rachel and Stephen, so with the secret pick, Claudia had actually picked 4 traitors. The red traitor holds a lot of power in this game, much to the annoyance of the other 3 traitors. The red traitor will provide the other traitors a shortlist for the 3 green traitors to pick for murder. They will know who the other traitors are, but their identity won't be known by the green traitors. All this green and red still makes me feel very Christmassy. From the initial reactions after removing their blindfolds, the players that I put on my list were Amanda, Jade, James and Sam, which means I'm probably wrong about all of them. I told myself to ignore the video of the red cloak traitor walking through the corridor and thought it was just probably a crew member, as their size would be too much of a giveaway. I was also trying to not be swayed by what the players were saying, as they might in fact be the red traitor themselves or just misguided in their suspicions. Was Jade's nervousness too obvious to consider, or was I being led astray? What was clear to me was that I was going to be going back and forth with who I thought the red traitor actually was, or otherwise known as being completely clueless. Now I know how it feels, despite having less knowledge and being heavily influenced by the editors. Going forward, I shall try and be a bit kinder to all the faithfuls. What we know of the production team's previous work was that they were going to find some inventive way to have a mission that included coffins. It's just a given. This time we got 100 coffins that happened to be floating in water. Out of the 100 coffins, 12 of them had a money sign on them, which they would need to find and tow back to shore. For every one they tow and put in an open grave, £1,000 would be added to the prize pot. They split up into 3 teams and had 45 minutes to get as many as possible. That seemed like a reasonable task, despite the morbidness of them being coffins, but production wasn't done. There just had to be an added element because they didn't want things to be that straightforward. Each of the graves had the players' names on it, and any grave that had a coffin placed inside of them would see that player put up for murder, while those graves without a coffin would be shielded away from being in danger. What a twisted web the Traitors production team weave. Each team had differing strategies. One team was putting coffins into those they suspected as traitors, while another team didn't want to put it in those they thought were traitors. The third team tried to be a bit more random, though in all they made sure they put a coffin in someone who wasn't on their team. With 10 coffins placed, £10,000 was added to the prize pot. This saw Rachel, James, Fiona, Ross, Adam, Judy, Reese, Faraz, Maz and Nettie up for murder, but as we all know, there were only 9 of those names up for murder, with Rachel being exempt. What we didn't know was if the Red Traitor was amongst those names, but we knew that 3 of them would be wiped off the Red Traitor suspicion list. I noticed the painting with the coffin and wondered if there were more paintings around the castle that would give clues as to what the rest of the missions are. Unfortunately, I didn't pay enough attention before they returned to the castle to know if other paintings were shown. To my detriment, I was too busy writing notes and trying to remember the names of all the players. I'm still trying. Before entering the castle, at the beginning of the episode, we found out that Nettie and Ross knew each other before but hadn't seen each other in over 10 years. Something that if Nettie was thinking more on the same lines as to what Ross was, then maybe that would have been a secret that the other players wouldn't know of and had a chance of playing to Nettie and Ross's advantage. Unbeknownst to us until later in the episode, it was revealed that there is a secret pre-existing relationship in the castle this year. Judy is Roxy's mum. I am once again pleading with the UK casting team to go at least 1 season without a pre-existing relationship. Just once. I'm not asking for too much. You know, just give us something new. There's nearly 70 million of us here, but you've been doing this thing every season. Am I the only one that actually wants to see 22 strangers for once? They can totally continue it after giving me complete strangers, but just do me a solid and give me 1 time. Thanking you in advance. Maybe I need to be as loud as those pocket of fans that wanted a secret traitor to try and guess. Judy is one of the names floating around as a possible traitor. A number of them sensed something immediately after the blindfold removal. I don't know how wise it was for Roxy to be giving Judy advice, especially around Amanda. Someone would surely have wondered, why is she giving that kind of advice to someone they've supposedly only known for a day? The secret traitor whittled down the candidates for murder and chose James, Nettie and Maz for the green traitors to pick as the first traitor's victim. This immediately wiped one person off my list. I didn't even last a full episode. I need to swap my guess of James to someone else, but I shall see how the next episode goes. I would be surprised if Maz wasn't the one picked as the first victim. James has been thrown out too many names and I feel like Nettie is more likely to be suspected than Maz will be. Though if Nettie is picked, it would make for an interesting few hours before the first banishment as to whether people will think the traitors are trying to frame Ross, or Ross is trying to absolve himself by getting rid of the one person you think he wouldn't if Ross was a traitor. With the shortlisted 3, I'm not sure how much the picks are telling us other than they're all faithfuls. It would totally depend on what the Red Traitor's game plan is, as the other 3 traitors wouldn't have placed these 3 faithfuls up for murder. Could this move actually mean the Red Traitor is Fiona? She said she hasn't had the chance to speak to everyone, so she wouldn't necessarily know that James has thrown out many names and that Nettie might have started putting out Judy's name. Let me know in the comments who you think the Red Traitor is.